Welcome to Mailbag Monday. This is the series where Chris and I answer your questions that you've asked us, and we'll tackle a new question every Monday. So, Chris, what's in the mailbag today?
Oh gosh, we have so many left over from your coffee talk, your Martech coffee talk. Unsurprisingly, all about ChatGPT. so
Yeah.
let's tackle this first one here. Rick asks, we are looking to enhance our content team with prompt engineers in the near future. What should we be looking for specifically as we be looking to enhance both SEO and PPC ads?
Well, that's a great question because I feel like prompt engineers, it's this emerging specialty skill set, but at the same time, it's really not. For me, it's similar to a business analyst who can basically say what is the organization looking for and how are we going to get from A to B. It's the same with building a prompt. What are you looking for and how are you going to get the system to give you the thing you need? And so in this instance, he's talking about SEO and PPC. And so I would say first and foremost, someone who's familiar with both of those things. Um, we did a simple experiment a few weeks ago on one of our podcasts to ask the ChatGPT system to write, what's new in SEO for 2023, and the information it gave back, you said was outdated by about 5 years.
Exactly. So generally speaking, the first thing you're going to want to do, obviously, is establish that purpose. And then we have this over on the Trust Insights website. If you go to trustinsights.ai, you'll find this in our Instant Insights section. This is how to write an effective Chat GPT prompt. So if you're going to be using a Chat GPT or an OpenAI model, I should say, GPT 3.5, GPT 4, etc., this is probably the prompt structure you're going to be writing. So the thing that you're going to want to do is take a look at, do your 5 Ps. The purpose, obviously, the people who you're hiring for. What's your process right now for writing those SEO and PPC ads? And then what AI platform are you going to use to generate the content? And then obviously benchmarking, like, do machine written ads perform better than the human written ads you've been doing? Because if they don't perform better, then you're not really saving any money. For SEO and PPC specifically, you have a fork in the road to choose. If you're going to use just a consumer tool like ChatGPT, then you're going to want to spend some time prompt engineering and probably want to create a library of very detailed prompts that will answer those, that will get the system to spit out the exact right answers. So for PPC, you might start off with a system statement as you will act as a Google Ads expert. You have expertise in PPC, pay-per-click marketing, Google Ads, Google Search Ads, Google Display Ads, and so on and so forth. You'll spit out all the keywords that you would need to give the model some guardrails. Your first task, this is now in the user statement, your first task will be to write some PPC ads based on the following background information. The background information is where you're going to put all of the kinds of things, the rules that you want for the type of ads. So if you're doing Google ads, for example, you have a series of headlines, you have some descriptions, you have some word limits and character limits that you're going to need to specify. You have tracking codes and things you're going to want to incorporate. You're going to have certain types of language. You'll have disallowed characters. So there are characters that you cannot use in ads and certain formatting rules. All that goes in your background information. And so this is where you're going to have that sort of secret sauce. So you're probably not going to want to share these prompts to the general public. And then you have your concluding user statement, which is, write the PPC ads in whatever tone of voice and things. That's one fork in the road if you're going to go generally with a Chat GPT like system. The other way you can go is building your own model, right? So if you have you can take an open source model like Eleuthera AI's GPT-J6B, which is a small language model. And then if you have all of the existing ad data from your ads that your agency has run, and you take your top 20% most successful ads, you can take that ad copy, because you want to tune a model on successful ads, tune the model itself, and now you have a model that's custom purpose built to make PPC ads or SEO optimized content. And then here's the trade-off. The more tuned a model is for the purpose, the smaller your prompt has to be. right? That's kind of the secret when it comes to generative AI. The more custom the model is, the smaller your prompt has to be. When you're using OpenAI's ChatGPT, this is a model that's been trained on everything, so you need long prompts to get it to do what you want. If you have a model that is just custom built for Google Ads and it does very little else, you don't have to ask it much, and it's going to give you better results than the big model because, again, right tool for the right job. So I would say those are kind of for Rick, those are kind of the two paths you have to decide before you go hiring people.
I would agree with that. And what's interesting, because you reinforced my point about a business analyst, is the prompt structure that you showed is just a set of requirements. And so it's really just making sure that, whoever you're hiring understands how to write requirements in an effective way, whether you're handing it off to a physical person or a machine interface. And that's really the kind of skill set you're looking for, is around that documentation and communication and that ability to understand what the business needs and translate that into a set of instructions.
Exactly. And again, this goes back to the importance of that purpose. Mm-hmm. In that purpose, you have to decide which fork in the road are you going to take based on your own capabilities.
Well, Rick, thank you for the question, and tune in next week for another Mailbag Monday.
Exactly. And if you've got questions for Mailbag Monday you want to ask, pop on over to our free Slack group. Go to trustinsights.ai/analyticsformarketers. And if you want to keep up on past issues of Mailbag Monday, be sure you subscribe to our newsletter, trustinsights.ai/newsletter. We'll talk to you next time.